This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. We continue in Mishna Berura, Daf Hashavua. We're learning Hilchos Tzitzis. We're in Siman Tezvav. We just read Seif. By the way, it's very interesting. I was reading in the Slichos today that the tefillah of L'cha Hashem Hatzdaka of Lo Nubayshus Hapanim Manasan Manoimer was written by Rav Amram Goin. So Rav Amram, we just learned it. We just learned his shita yesterday that if tzitzis tears within 3 etzbois, it doesn't have a Torah's beged. It's like it's not there. Okay. So yesterday we began Seif. In Seif, the Mechaber, let's read Seif again in the Mechaber. Im nikra minekav tzitzis tali ba'ilomata, if the whole Torah and below, im kadamat tzitzis lakera, if the tzitzis were first put in, sha'isei tzitzis ha'yisham mishas hakera, the tzitzis were there already, when at the time of Torah, kosher, it's kosher. Im nikra v'nishtar menu koshu, but if a Torah and you have even a little bit, with tefar and you sewed it, v'achar kach yitavai tzitzis, and then you put in the tzitzis, so we say that im hu shel tzemer, if it's, so basically like this, if it tore, so if you put in the tzitzis first, that tzitzis was there at the time of the tear, it's kosher, because it was put in bekashus. And if it tore, and a little bit remained, and you sewed it, and then you put in the tzitzis, so if it's wool, it's kosher l'kulei alma. Why? So, meaning if the beged is wool, we'll see everyone holds its kosher, because according to Rashi, since the beged is tzemer, we're not worried you're going to use shar minim l'shem tzitzis. And according to Rav Amram, since it's nishtar koshehu le'nisbatam mitaras beged, like we said in the earlier sif. Because let's just review the 3 shitos. Rashi's opinion is the reason why you can't sew is because you might use the stitching for tzitzis. Rav Amram holds, if it tears within 3 tvachim, it's like it's not there. Now, according to Rav Amram, if it tore and it's nishtar koshehu, it's kosher. So that's the pshat. According to Rav Amram, if it tore and it's nishtar koshehu, it's kosher. So in this case, if it's tzemer, it's a beged of tzemer, and you sewed it with shar minim, it's kosher l'kulei, because according to Rashi, you were not afraid you're going to use the string, and according to Rav Amram, it's nishtar kosher. V'imhu shel shar minim, if it's of a different species, shederach lisper b'chuz n'shal amin, that they usually sew up with that species. So according to Rashi, you can't sew it up. The nikro tefarai, if it tore and then you sewed it, the achar g'dabat tzitzis, then ikal svuke, then there's a suffix. So we'll have to see what is this suffix. Pashtus is, according to Rashi, it's going to be a problem, and according to Rav Amram, it will be okay. Why? Because if it tore and then you sewed it up, so stam according to the Yeshayimrim of Rav Amram, it would be okay, because if you first sewed it up according to that Yeshayimrim, it's okay. And according to the first sheet of Rav Amram, stam, any time it's nishtayer koshehu, it's going to be kosher. So we'll have to see what exactly is the suffix. Again, if it's talking about shar minim, so according to Rashi, you can't sew it up. And if it tore and then you sewed it, I guess it tore completely. So let's see Mishna Berura cutting your test. Kosher l'kulei alma. So if it's wool, it's kosher according to everyone. Dila Rashi, according to Rashi, kivan shabegedu shel tzamer, since the beged is wool, ein lacha sheishar b'chutei shar min l'mshem tzitzis. We're not afraid you're going to use from other species for tzitzis. Rav Amram, and according to Rav Amram, kivan dinishtar koshehu, lo nisbatam mitaras beged v'chanal b'sif hakoidem. Like we said in the previous sif, that if it's nishtar koshehu, then it's loy nisbatal, but mitaras beged. V'chol shekain the lahayesh oimrim, certainly according to the yesh oimrim shebesif hakoidem kosher hacha. According to the yesh oimrim, it's definitely going to be kosher because you put in the tzitzis after you sewed it up. So this is talking about where it's wool. Where it's wool, all three shitos would say it's good. Rashi, because we're not worried you're going to use the cotton stitching for a wool garment. According to Rabbeinu Amram, Rav Amram Goin, you have nishtar kosher, and certainly according to the Yesh Oimrim, it would be kosher because you put on the tzitzis after you sewed it up. Now, but if it's shar minim, you should not sew it up according to Rashi. It says in Mishna Berura lo yispar. Ba'oisai hamin, with that species. Amin acher yesh lahaka, with a different species, you could be lenient. V'yoyser toy b'chutz savua, v'chana b'sev katan yirches. Better to use a colored string, like we said earlier, because by a colored string, you're not going to use it for tzitzis. However, v'im nikra, if it tore, the Mishna Berura says if it completely tore, so if it completely tore, according to Rav Amram going, it might be an issue. Rav Salamar shenikra kula, it completely tore minekeh from the hole ad Seif hasafa, until the edge of the rim. Lachein ikal asvuke, you could have a suffix here. What's the suffix? Why? Da'af im habeged. Meaning, we just said if it's shar minim, don't sew it up according to Rashi. But if it completely tore, even if it's wool, shar minim, that according to Rashi would be permitted, but it could be according to Rabbeinu Amram, it would be puzzle, because it completely tore. Afilu hachi efshar the Rav Amram puzzle. Dikivan d'lo nishtar kosher, since you don't have a little bit left, halay mevor b'sif hakoidem. We said in the previous sif, the day Arisha, according to the first day, command the pasuk dami. It's like it ripped off. Lo yoel tfira. It will not help to sew it. Afim yirtzal hato tzitzis acherkach. Even if you want to put in tzitzis afterwards. So it would be a suffix. According to Rashi, it would be good. According to Rabbeinu Amram, it would not be good. According to the first pshat Rav Amram. The efshar, it could be that Rav Amram would say that it's good here. Why? Ayator. The efshar dahacha adif. Dalaya shalom mishneit stadav rak be'emtza nifsag. We said this very yesterday. Gevaldik. Listen to this. In other words, when does Rav Amram say that if a garment tore, the halacha is you can't sew it back when it tore like that? So now you can't sew it back. But let's say over here you have a garment, and here's the tzitzis hole, right? Here's the tzitzis hole. See where my pen went through? And now it tore like this to the hole. So it's really shalem on both sides. It tore completely. But it's whole on both sides. So when you sew it back, maybe Rav Amram would say you could sew it back. It's only when it completely tears off, Rabbeinu Amram would say you can't sew it back. But when it tears to the hole where it's shalem on both sides, maybe Rabbi Amram would say it's better. The haloi hakanaf hu shalem mishneit stadav rak be'emtza nifsak. Tezeu ha-safik shal shulchan aruch. This is a shulchan aruch suffix. I'll add, the Bir Halacha says that the Gra says that when the Mechaber says it's a suffix, he means even in Rashi it's a suffix. Because when does Rashi say you can't sew with cotton on a wool garment? Rashi only said that l'chatchila, but if you did it already, maybe Rashi would say it's okay. That's a suffix. The Mishna Berura continues, V'ayin betaz shachal, look in the taz that he argues, u'paisik the inkan suffix, the kulei alma, according to everyone, hitta by tzitzis la'achar tefira the kosher. And according to everyone, if you put tzitzis on afterwards, it's kosher. Even Rabbeinu Amram, because of this svara. Nevertheless, it's better. You should see to it before you sew it. To put under the corner chatichas beged shel shalish, to put a chaticha of garment 3 by 3. V'yetzi yedei hakol to v'yetzi everyone. If it's impossible, yesh lahakol ka'ataz, you could make it like the taz that Rabbeinu Amram would say that this is okay. Why? Because anyway, because we wrote anyway, the Iker is like the second day on Rabbeinu Amram, who we pointed out in the beginning of the Shiur. Very interesting. Rabbeinu Amram is the one who wrote Slichais. He wrote L'cha Hashem Atztaka V'lanu B'Ishas Hapanim. And I'll tell you in a minute. That according to most Achronim, we hold that sewing it works even if the corner got ripped off completely. So certainly in this case, where there's a tzad to say that everybody, even Rabbeinu Amram's first day, holds it's okay because it didn't completely rip off, it just ripped from the hole to the end, that Rabbeinu Amram would say it's okay. Okay, so this will be the learning for Monday, and we're going to break for a second, and we're going to do Tuesday, it's brief.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.